So with that, maybe starting with Joe.
I need to take a mic. That would start us off well. So good afternoon. My name is Joe Franses. I work with Coca-Cola. A couple of words to kick us off, I guess. So the 1.8 trillion opportunity,
Yes.
Is that what you said? That's a lot of,
according to
McKinsey
McKinsey in 2015.
So, I guess from our perspective, we would completely echo that. If we think about all of the packaging that we use, certainly in Western Europe, too much of it doesn't come back. We have first and foremost a huge packaging waste challenge. And put simply, when you think about plastic, far too much of it just does not come back. So you're absolutely right on the opportunity. And I can say a little bit more about what we're doing and how we're taking responsibility for that issue. We have much, much more to do. So maybe that's where I stop. For us, it's all about recycling. It's all about collection. It's all about using that plastic. But it's also about looking at alternatives and looking at how we can get our products into the hands of our consumers without any packaging waste at all.
Thank you, Joe.
Hello, everyone. So I don't get a picture, unfortunately. So I'm Marc Violo. I am head of marketing at Loop. And I've spent the last decade in Asia. Have been very well aware of a lot of the waste linked to fast developing countries, and coming back to Europe to work on a very exciting scheme, which is about reuse as opposed to recycling. So Loop, for those who don't know, is the deposit schemes, the milkman of the 21st century, where our aim is to provide every single item that you consume on a day-to-day basis on a durable, reusable packaging linked to a deposit. And so we work with very large companies, very small companies, in all sorts of industries, B2B and B2C, to bring this to life.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Simone Targetti Ferri, and I work with Qwarzo as a business developer and also in partnership management. So Qwarzo, the idea of Qwarzo is to replace any plastics. When I say plastics, it's about single-use plastics, but also any packaging that is used today. So we work mostly on the mitigation side. Our solution is basically paper, where we coat something on top of it based on sand, alcohol, and water. So what does it mean that? It means that it's a solution which is fully natural, which gives to the paper the property of glass, but remains paper. So you can imagine any single barrier that the paper can get, but remaining paper. So that means that it's fully biodegradable, recyclable, and definitely compostable with sand. So today we work with the packaging producers, and the idea is to help them switching their mindset and moving towards a more sustainable business model by serving the big industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simone. My name is Petra Koselka. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Clariter. Before joining them earlier last year, I spent more than 25 years in big corporates and chemicals. I'm very excited to have joined Clariter to make a big impact on this world. And what do? We make from end-of-life plastic waste beautiful, pure, high-value products. Odor-free, sulfur-free, ready to use in everyday products. You will think that's a lot of words. But it basically means that 60% of what you and I threw in the garbage yesterday can be transformed into products that we all need. Basic products like shoe cream, paint for the walls, floor polish, and very many others. So I'm very excited to be here today and share with you our thoughts how we can revolutionize the world.
Thank you, everyone. So as you can see, we've got a panel who are all addressing our current behaviors and trying to either positively improve what we're doing today, redesign what we're doing today, or take what is, accept it, and then find something useful to do with it. So with that in mind, I know looking around at what I see in the market and what I see people talking about, it seems like there's a lot of confusion related to what is actually happening in the circular economy. There's a lot of different perspectives. You know, there's people who are feeling disenchanted. There's a lot of confusion about how to measure things and how to look at things. You know, looking at what you're seeing today, is there any way that you can help ground our perspective in what's real?
So what's real is we've got a lot to do, a lot more to do. So maybe I'll start by saying a little bit about plastics, which is the topic that I probably unsurprisingly get asked most about. Being very clear, we believe that plastics has a place, but we also believe that that place is within a circular economy. So our strategy is all around ensuring that everything we put onto the marketplace is recyclable, so that it can come back as a second life. So that's the first point, 100% recyclability. Second point, making sure that everything we put onto the market, to your point about the 1.8 trillion opportunity, can come back, has to come back, has to be collected. We're also the first to recognize the distance to travel, because today, that's not happening. And so when we look at markets like France, or I live in London, market like Great Britain or Spain, somewhere in the region of 60, 65, maybe 70% of plastic bottles are collected. That still means a hell of a lot are not being seized in that opportunity. Why am I optimistic on that second point? I'm optimistic because I look at other markets. So I look at some of the Nordics markets, I look at Germany that have really well-functioning deposit return schemes. I look at markets where there truly is a circular economy for plastic bottles. Plastic is put onto the market, it comes back, it is recycled, and it is used again. And so that brings me to the third piece of our strategy, which gives me optimism, which is at the moment, many of our bottles are created partially, not all, from recycled plastics. But in the last year, we've started to put on to the market many plastic bottles that are made from 100% recycled plastic. In the market in Sweden, every single one of our bottles across all of our brands will be 100% recycled plastic. I've got with me one other bottle which actually also gives me optimism, which was a bottle partially made out of plastic from the oceans. So using a very similar process to my colleague on my left, but actually taking that plastic back, using it again, recycling it through an enhanced recycling process, again, to capture the value. So the optimism is there, but the reality is we've got a long way to go, whether it's collection, whether it's collecting that waste or turning it back, and then also looking at other business models. And Marc will say a little bit more about Loop, but the reason that we are, as a business, are investing in different ways of getting our products to market is because, yes, we use plastic, but we also use glass, we also use cans, we also use dispense. So there are many ways to enjoy a Coca-Cola. And Loop in the e-commerce shopping platform that Marc is responsible for is one of those. So there's a lot of hope and a lot of optimism. A lot going on, much more to do.
Thank you. So please.
Yeah, so we launched Loop live 6 months ago, and we have really interesting learning about what consumers have experienced, what they felt with a 21st century deposit system. And one of the key stats that I've actually received in the past couple of weeks is since the beginning, we've had 95% of people within our pilot return packaging back to us. So they really get the system. And overall, it's been a fantastically, overwhelmingly positive response for Loop, but also for all of the partners that have joined Loop in this journey. And so what I see is you have a lot of startups who are disrupting, who really have this will, the talent, and sometimes the resources to actually make that change. I see partners like Coca-Cola, other, the P&G, in our case is as well one of our founding partners, who are there. What I'm not seeing as much as I would like is involvement of government and local municipalities to get deposit schemes really back at the forefront of the conversation. In France, very recently, a project law has been pushed back by local municipalities because mayors get funding from recycling and they won't from deposit schemes. So it's the government's role to come in and support local collectivities to move on to these new business models that are arriving to the forefront.
Yeah. So I think what has been said is very important because as a startup, as an innovative startup, what we see is that there is a very vibrant, let's say, environment now. So big companies like Coca-Cola, they try to find a way with what exists today, but they also look very smartly to what is the future or what they can adopt in the future. So for us, really, as a startup, we don't spend one day without talking with one of the big polluters who's come to us and say like, guys, please help us. You know, we want even to invest in you. So even if maybe it's not their direct role to invest, but these big brands are now trying to put money and to say, we want you to develop fast because we want to adopt your solution because it looks amazing and it's very impactful for environment. So I think this is very interesting for us. What I just see is still missing. I mean, as a message, I would like to say that education is still missing. So I'm Italian, but I don't see big difference in France, unfortunately, but education is still missing. So, you know, it should be like kind of a mix of top-down and bottom-up approach where everybody really goes in the same direction. I would expect more from the future.
Petra, please.
Look, I also think that there's confusion. There's confusion at consumers level, but also with investors. So many routes. Reduce, reuse, mechanically recycle, chemically recycle. We need to harmonize the life cycle analysis of all of these routes. Investors don't know if this has a better CO2 footprint than the other ones. So we are certainly, as Clariter, driving with the European Chemical Recycling Association, harmonization of how we look at it, because otherwise we'll never get this funded and we won't get the confidence from consumers, but also the regulatory bodies for a good way forward.
Yeah, so message of hope, a message of greater awareness, a need for education, and a need to explore new opportunities with a different perspective, if I may. Thank you. So, you know, looking forward, we've kind of highlighted a lot of the things that are happening today that are cause for optimism. And, you know, we do have individual interests that we are on stage representing. Are there things that you're seeing in the broader society and broader culture that you see happening right now that bring to you a message of positive change and hope? Something that really inspires you about how things are moving forward? No. Thank you.
I listen to the people who work in our business. We employ 22,000 people in Western Europe, and I listen to them, and they deliver that message of hope because they, like you, understand that a circular economy, and if you think about circular plus a zero carbon economy, which is the direction in which we need to move. You know, last time I was in this building was 5 years ago during COP21, and COP21 was a landmark because it set us in a direction towards a low carbon, zero carbon economy. Put that together with a circular economy, and every one of us in the room, me included, and every one of our people can think just what has to change, because we all have to change. We all have to change our behavior, and the companies that we work for have to change the way we go about doing our day-to-day business. So I think there's a broad recognition that things do have to change. We certainly look at our packaging and we think that we're in this kind of moment where there's a once-in-a-generation opportunity to get this right in terms of how we get our packaging back. And that means change. It means looking at deposit return schemes. It means looking at different forms of packaging. It means looking at e-commerce platforms like Loop. It means investing, as we've done in France, in transforming the recycling system so that more plastic can be reprocessed and used and it doesn't go to waste. So for me, the hope comes from the people that I speak to every single day. You know, we mentioned, as we were just talking before, that there were some protesters outside yesterday talking about whether this was greenwashing or not. You know, I've spent the day here. The message that I take away from today is a message of hope, because there's so many brilliant ideas in this room, in this space. There's so much innovation. There's so many good ideas. We clearly have got so much more to do if we're going to get to the zero carbon, low carbon economy. We have to collaborate more. So for me, the hope is in the room, but more to do.
Thank you.
I have two. The first is the zero waste comic book that's sitting on my 6-year-old niece's bedside table. which just shows how, 30 years ago, zero waste and waste wasn't really much of a topic, and today it really has become. And from the earliest age, there's education starting to happen, so that's really positive. On the Loop side, the hope that I see is I would have never, so I joined Loop a year ago, I would have never thought that I could work so closely with a corporate partner and really, like walk through thick terrain, steep hills, like really hard conversation, like no clear passes, and together work through these and still 2 years, 3 years down the line work as a partnership. And I think this is where the old model of corporate philanthropy is really shifting towards social innovation embedded inside businesses.
Thank you. So Simone, if it's okay with you, Petra looked very excited about this one. So let's go to her.
I just want to say, yes, I see hope, but hope is not a strategy, right? It has to be founded in real business and basic economics. We're going to build 4 plants, Clariter plants, so that's a total production of 200,000 tons. Every single drop of this has been sold. So there are companies that have already paid for us to get these products. So where there's money, commitment, and really people putting dollars into these new solutions, I think this is where I get my hope from.
Thank you. Simone?
Yeah, sure, just quickly. I think my hope comes from the street. Like every day, I can finally shopping sustainably in a very easy way. Still maybe a bit costly, but I can go from one shop to another and just bring my packaging and just refill. So this is a hope, because 5 years ago it was probably impossible, not in Italy or in France, and today I can do that. So that's my first, really, where the hope comes from, meaning that market is growing, consumer is, are more interested into that, and so the business is growing. And the same thing, it's about transparency. So for me, a big hope is that, talking about the protest yesterday is about transparency. So if we give the people more and more access to what business are doing, so sharing information, I think that we really can show to the world what is happening. I know it's just happening in this room, but it's happening outside. So people need to have access, and business need to engage to be as more transparent as possible in what they're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
One quick example. So very live discussion internally in our business is the discussion around how much recycled PET we purchase. If I go back 4 or 5 years, we were probably about 10, maybe in some countries 20%, up to 25% of the plastic that we purchased was recycled PET. We've now, as I said before, some markets already 100% in some bottles. Across all of our PET, we're now at 50%. We will be at 50%. We've said we'll do that by 2023. We're moving so quickly on that, and that takes money, it takes investment. It also takes capacity in the system. Back to your original point, getting the plastic back. If we can get to 100% across all of our PET, we'll do that. We don't think we can do it yet. We buy somewhere in the region of 200,000 tons of plastic every single year. So we'll take about 100,000 tons of recycled plastic. We're probably the biggest purchaser of recycled plastic, and that takes demand, it takes changed supply chains. But that's just a very tangible example of what's changing in our business. Yep. And that's not me as a sustainability leader. It's our procurement teams, it's our marketing teams, it's our brand teams. So the discussion is much, much broader than just a sustainability discussion. It's a commercial discussion. It's a branding discussion.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you for bringing up the discussion that was happening outside the Grand Palais, and it's a discussion that I think we're all listening to, where a lot of people are expressing their dissatisfaction with the status quo and where we are today. And I know we all feel that it's hugely important that these people continue to make their voices heard, while still allowing the inclusion of new data into the system that validates a lot of what they were saying, so that we can accept and change as needed. So thank you for bringing that up. Now, we did speak a bit about how there's a need for concrete action and a need for concrete steps moving forward. And I know you shared some very tangible goals. I know a lot of companies have come to the ChangeNOW Summit to speak about what are their ambitions and what are their commitments as businesses moving forward to addressing these challenges. I was just wondering, because we have a wonderful panel from very diverse points of the ecosystem, how are you looking at things and how do you see your ability to affect change, and what does that really translate to?
So Loop is part of an American recycling company called TerraCycle, who has been in the business of recycling hard-to-recycle material for the past 20 years. And our founder, Tom Zaki, has always known that recycling is good, but reducing is much better. And so models of reuse that we're building right now with Loop have the ability to not only reduce, but at some point potentially completely eliminate the idea of waste. And so at Loop, today we're talking about the visible part of the iceberg, which is your, your day-to-day consumer goods that you can buy in a supermarket or on e-commerce in France, maboutique-loop.fr. But actually, our Loop business development team, together with our R&D teams, are working on a lot of very disruptive reuse models in B2B systems in the pharmaceutical industry with large hotels chains, fast food companies, and our goal here is really to create an ecosystem where all of our partners, regardless of their industry, are learning about the creation of a completely new distribution and consumption model. And it's a really exciting journey. So I can only invite any of you who is thinking about their transition to come and speak to us.
Simone.
Thank you. Yeah, for quick words about the opportunity that Qwarzo offers to respond to the needs of the market. And I think it's very important because when we say we replace any kind of plastic packaging, every single packaging producer has his own needs. So we're talking about, for example, transparent paper. We're talking about any kind of transparent packaging and so on. Any kind of needs, they come to us and we talk through the R&D and develop something that fits for their purpose. So that's very important because our objective today is really to move towards their needs more and more. And we're growing. We're talking about secondary packaging. We can also work on secondary packaging. Why that? Because normally secondary packaging is made of virgin paper because it's more resistant. So through our solution, Qwarzo, we could use recycled paper to do secondary packaging. So I think anyone has own needs, and we need to be smart in responding to these needs in a way that fits for the purpose of the market. And I think together, actually, we can really do a great job for the future.
Thank you.
Yes, I told you in Clariter, so we will be building those 4 plants. We sold all the products, and now, of course, we've turned our attention to the relevant plastic waste streams. We said we are chemical recyclers. We're not going to compete with mechanical recyclers. Absolutely not. We're really pushing out the boat to do really advanced R&D. So anybody that's in this room and says, hey, I have a polyolefin waste stream, I don't know what to do with it, it's the biggest headache I have, give me a ring, we'll process it in Poland, we'll process it in South Africa, and we'll make beautiful products for you out of it. We're ready to roll.
Thank you, Petra. So moving forward, just because we're running out of time and being mindful of everybody being here for us, if there's a message that you want to convey, because I know I as a consumer and I as a person, my habits and my behaviors have to change, and the environment needs to change that I have those behaviors in. But if there's one idea, one message that you want everybody in this audience leaving here with today, what would you really identify for us to walk away with?
I think from my side, I'd probably say, look, the future is going to be very different. And if I think about our packaging mix, in 10 years' time, that will be completely different. Partly it will be looking at where we started the business, which is a business that started around dispensed. That's how Coca-Cola started. We've got a very strong refillable glass business. We've got a strong business in aluminium. We've got a strong business in plastic, and which we're trying to ensure is a circular plastic business. But I suspect if you look in 10 years' time, even 5 years' time, that mix will change. So I think the key message is the future is going to be very, very different. And that is going to require us all to change, both as individuals and as corporations. But that's exciting because to deliver that zero carbon circular economy enables us to seize that opportunity. The opportunity you spelled out right at the beginning. It's absolutely crazy for us as a business to take packaging, to fill it, to put it onto the market for somebody to enjoy a Coca-Cola, and for that package to go to waste. It's valuable. We have to get it back. And what we're doing at the moment is it's just not working. So it has to change.
Thank you. Marc.
So I want to say that sustainability sometimes is a bit of a dull topic. You know, it's exciting, but it's hard. And that actually reuse, reduce doesn't necessarily need to equate with lesser quality. I just want to highlight one of our partners' products. This is the Häagen-Dazs packaging, which is sold on Loop. And this product is meant to be used, reused, cleaned, probably up to 30, 40, 50 times, enabling great consumption experience, reducing the impact of the whole packaging manufacturing on the environment. And so it has environmental benefits as well as it's great for the brand and it's great for the consumer. So think about that. If you're working on consumer good products, what can you do differently?
Thank you.
Yes, I think the most important thing for me is to suggest people to take action in the sense that adopt the technology that you feel fits for your purpose and for your needs. Do not waste time with regulation and whatever will come up from the world of the decision maker. Just act and adopt the technology because it's definitely worth it to try. And technology pushes then also the regulation to come. So I would definitely invite you to come to our booth also, Qwarzo, and sustainable packaging. So please pass by and we can get more information for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a few words. I think, we have very many challenges in the planet, but the good news is we have the answers. And the answer is in the mirror. So if you look in the mirror tomorrow, think about what commitment you made today personally to change now.
Okay, thank you. So